Hey world. So this is the KEW exchange where knowledge through experience transforms to wisdom. I'm wearing my sunglasses because these are two of the brightest beings I've ever met in my life, and I'm going to have them both on the screen at the same time. And I was making a joke about wearing sunglasses because I can't handle the brightness between them. Um, so we have Andrea Summers, because I'm not going to mispronounce her middle name, and or first last name, and then we have Charisse Fonts, again, almost mispronounced it as always. Two people that I love dearly, and I'm so excited to be here to talk about a topic that I needed an education on. So, welcome.
Hey.
I might have to put the sunglasses back on. I don't know. I just can't handle it. It's just too much. So what I wanted to talk about today, which I'm going to horribly mispronounce as well, is agape, which I understand, and that one I can pronounce. Ubuntu, no, is that correct? Like, am I getting closer? Like, I mean, any closer?
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. Okay. I will never figure it out. I just won't. I still can't understand the English language or human languages. It just makes no sense to me. But anyway, too little bit of a logic there. So why don't you guys both introduce yourself real quick, and then we'll just get into all about love.
I love it. Charisse, you want to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I'm Charisse Fonts, and I classify as human, and I work with companies to bring humanity into the workplace. I use anthropology and humanity to solve some of the toughest problems with the simple answers. And I also run a social enterprise, almost nonprofit, called Humanity Power to end the isms that are harming our humanity. And I'm excited to be here.
I love sharing this space with both of you guys. Mike, thanks for having me too on the show. My name's Andrea Kohalmi Summers. Thank you, Mike, for butchering my name. I know you wouldn't have. You would have gotten it.
Maybe.
So I bring a couple different backgrounds into our call today, and that's that I have various spiritual gifts, and I'm an energy healer or just a healer, and I'm a guide for people's soul's journeys. In addition to that, I have over 20 years experience in marketing and then internal, external communications and working with leadership on various business strategies to help develop their companies and bring it forward. But more importantly, to engage employees with leaders to create a positive corporate culture. So what I bring together is really this idea of putting heart and soul into business, because when we're our best selves personally and professionally, we make a company better. We create the world a better or we make the world a better place. So thanks again, Mike.
You are most welcome. And I mean, I love both of these women dearly. Like they are so important in my life, and really, I mean, I really do want to wear my sunglasses because it's just too bright and I can't handle it. It's too much. So I want to go into both of these, one word I can't pronounce and one word I can, but I want to go into the differences, and I really want to explain how bringing this into our personal life and then bringing it for ourselves and then turn around and bringing it back into the workplace is so important, and how we can level up this empathy movement and bringing heart back into the workplace. But, you know, for me as a person, right, 41 years old, I didn't say I love myself until 6 months ago. So understanding what agape or Ubuntu, did I say it right this time? Holy shit. All right. Yes. Or even understanding or comprehending what that means is very difficult for me. So that's just me being as raw as I get, right? Like, I don't even understand the concept yet, and I'm trying to get there, but I'm not there yet. And I really think that this can help me. So anybody else who's watching, hopefully it helps someone too.
If it makes you feel better, we're all learning. Every day we're learning. You're calling us experts, but every day I learn something new, and we're continuing to evolve.
Always. And that's the beautiful part, because I like doing it live and just being the test pig, test pig instead of guinea pig or test. Yeah. Okay. I just combine them all. We'll just roll with this. You know, it's the Mike show, so we're good. Who wants to go first in explaining either or just both of you throw it both out there? I don't, somebody will hear it.
Andrea, why don't you take Agape?
I was going to say, like, so thank you, Charisse. Agape, I think, is the foundation for Ubuntu. Because without unconditional love, we can't have community or understanding of one another or of each other. And Agape, for those who don't know what it is, it's a little bit more than just unconditional love. About 100 years ago, an author called C.S. Lewis had taken a Christian philosophy or applied that to this and broke love down into 4 categories. And the first one is storge, and that is more of like a like-minded bond of empathy that brings people together. Think of that in business as everyone working at one company, loving the company so much and standing behind the brand, and they're your greatest brand champions. Yet at the same time, there might be people competing against one another in the business, trying to climb the corporate ladder and working against each other. The next level from there is philia. Philia is friend or family love. It's a bond that brings people together more closely than just a common mindset. And in that one, you have people who do appreciate and value one another, and yet at the same time, they can have a breakdown. There can be frustrations and anger or disagreements when you don't agree with each other. So that it's the yin yang of that type of love. Then there's eros. Eros is a passionate romantic love. It's the love that is between 2 partners, and that is a very deep and profound love that connects 2 individuals. Yet within that as well, the dark side to that can be possessiveness, obsession, and it's the stifling of one person over the selfish wants or needs of another. Then moving forward, the last level is agape. And agape is a divine love. And within that, that means that I love and appreciate you, warts and all. It's the good, bad, and ugly. Doesn't matter who you are, where you've been. I can see the beauty of your soul, and I respect your journey and the journey that you're on. I will do whatever I can in the process to help guide you along that journey, even if we don't always get along, because I know and appreciate the value that you bring into this world, because you're here for a reason, I'm here for a reason, and that makes the world a better place. And I think that's the perfect segue into Ubuntu, Charisse.
Thank you for that handoff. That was a beautiful explanation of agape. I love the tears that you broke down. So Ubuntu, the story behind that is South Africa was going through an apartheid, and they were coming out of it around 1994, 1995. And to heal from an apartheid. So an apartheid in the US, we had segregation, whites only, blacks only. And they had something very similar in South Africa. However, it was a lot worse, and it lasted a lot longer in terms of 95, you could come to the US and be black and white and get married. Out there, prior to that, you wouldn't be able to do that. It'd be illegal. And so the apartheid really harmed the humanity in South Africa. And so Nelson Mandela and Desmond Tutu came up with, and another leader came up with, a way to start healing South Africa. And they brought in this this lifestyle of Ubuntu, which is translated into many different things. I'll touch on 2 of them. One of them is I am because we are. And it's such a beautiful statement to breathe in. And when you think about another human, it's like, I am because you are. And I'll say it another way. I am, Michael, because you are. And that's such a deep concept. The other way to look at it is I cannot be threatened by your greatness, because your greatness makes me good. I learn how to be human through you as a human. So anything that happens with me happens with you. If you are hurting, I am hurting, and I am helping heal. You know, it's this very deep concept of something greater than ourselves. It takes this concept of I and turns it into we. And there's unity within that. And no pun intended, there's unity in our humanity. And that is something very powerful. There's always these messages that life is giving us. And I told my mom the other day, I was like, life will continue to give us the lessons we do not learn. And Ubuntu is a beautiful way to sum up what we need to learn, not just here in America, but in the world. It's like you don't go into a place without acknowledging another person's humanity. Doesn't mean you sacrifice your boundaries and things like that. It means that you have that level of agape, so you can now transcend past yourself and look at it in a way that is healing and helping humanity versus the opposite, which we've already experienced. So that is how I would explain Ubuntu.
All right. Well, I guess at this point we can end the show. We just educated everybody. No, I mean, here's the reality, right? Like, I'm still understanding the different levels of love because I just never understood it because I didn't love myself. What I do know is through all my numerous conversations with both of you, which are like the happiest moments of my life, is I'm constantly evolving and learning, and I'm constantly growing and moving the right direction and where I need to be for myself, which then in turn I could be for anybody else, right? And it's such an inside job, and it's such a, for me, this journey has been beyond emotional. It's also been very quick, because I don't seem to like to waste time on things. So I put myself literally through the fire quickly, see how many times I can burn myself and go from there. But when we look at society and where it is today, right, I know that vibrations need to raise. I know that humanity as a whole needs to unify. I know that humanity needs to come together. So how do either of you, both of you, something tells me I'm sure it's along the same lines, knowing both of you. Yes, Sid will probably be joining us soon, I'm sure. She's still sleeping, thank God. But I set up her iPad in the room and gave her a sippy cup before she even woke up. So maybe she'll stay asleep or stay in the room. But with that being said, like, how do you both, envision that we can actually make that impact across humanity?
Do you want to go first?
I'll go first. Such a deep question, and my answer might seem very simple. The way that I've been able to identify the stalls in humanity have really come down to 3 areas that if we could solve those on a daily basis, we don't need to book months out. We just need to focus on the daily basis of our ego, our apathy, and self-preservation. And if we continue to check the ego, slay the ego, put it back in the trunk, the back seat, tell it to silence our apathy, which is it's not my problem, doesn't matter, somebody else's issue, and our self-preservation, me, mine, me. If we could every day just put that in check and put the higher vibration of our humanity where love resides, we can solve all the isms. We could solve the hate that we're seeing in this world, because all of the hate that we're seeing, this low vibrational frequency, is powered by the negative sides of our ego, apathy, and self-preservation. Once we lose that, we'll be great. The challenge with that seems to lie in our ability to fear either change or transition, and also really want the comfort, convenience, and conformity, which kills our humanity, kills our lifestyle quicker than anything. And so that is my simple answer to this problem. It does take work. It does take practice. It does take getting uncomfortable with your own self, but it also takes accepting and loving yourself. So most of us have to rewrite the stories that were told to us and be able to, like you said, I love myself. That was baby Mikey.
Of course it was.
That was
Of course
Mikey.
it was.
So I'm gonna pass it off to Andrea. That is my simple answer for what you just asked.
I love how both of your babies are joining us.
Yeah.
Charisse, thank you. That was, as always, it's very insightful, and it's a core building block, right, for everybody. It doesn't matter where you are, whether you're at home in business, whatever is coming up, but to take that approach. One of the things that people have heard from me, especially in recent years, if they've worked with me, is assume best intent. So often ego gets in the way of, and the narratives we create. get in the way of us actually allowing ourselves to embrace somebody else. And if we're still in a place of ego, we're not loving ourselves fully, right? Because then we're worried about me, 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 me. What's my opportunity? Why am I being overlooked? Why is that person talking to that person? Why is this happening? Why did the company do XYZ? Assume best intent. And all of us are present on LinkedIn too, and we engage with various messages with business leaders and with employees alike. But what ends up happening in the business world and where there's a breakdown so often is that we forget that we are human first. We are president, vice president, manager, director, coordinator, specialist, newbie, intern, whatever it is. There are hierarchies and levels. And then we are, because of school, right? When you start school, like as a little kid, you're taught to be silent. You're taught to homogenize and fit in. And we carry that through our lives. We take it into the business world and we learn to keep our mouths shut and not embrace who we are, not share with the world who we are. And therefore, we don't accept others either. It's a bold thing to say, but it's true. Because if we don't accept ourselves as we are and we don't allow our own life to shine fully, we cannot possibly accept those around us. So when we are in business, especially, or in the community, I'm thinking Little League, spent many, many years in Little League and saw a whole lot of stuff within there too, where the kids, we learn the most from kids, I believe. You look at children who all they want to do is play ball. They want to be themselves and go out there, hit a ball, or learn. And if we apply that principle later on in life, there's a core, I think one core thing that we should remember: kindness. If we're kind to ourselves and we're kind to others, we learn to listen. And listening is more than hearing. We sit in business meetings or just meetings with others, phone calls with friends or family, and we hear what we hear through our filter, but we're already preparing the response. Instead of just absorbing what someone else is saying and not just listening to maybe the facts that are there, but what's the underlying feeling or emotion that's driving their human experience. I cannot be fully present for somebody else if I am not listening to them and I'm already preparing whatever it is, whatever retort I have for them, right? I will share one quick little tangent story because I'm clairvoyant. One of the things that I heard over the years as I was managing teams or leading projects, I would go into situations because I already knew the outcome. Now, that's not fair to everybody else that I'm working with, right? And people would always say, "You have a response for everything. Can I just talk?" That was part of my journey and what I needed to learn, because it was more than just hearing. I had to learn to listen. And within learning to listen, there was also learning to be kind and to respect someone else's experience. We're all very different people. And that diversity is what creates an amazing corporate culture within companies if we allow ourselves to embrace all of those differences. So I know this is a very long answer to what you were saying, Mike, or what you were asking. But building off of what Charisse said, this idea of love, of being within ourselves and then within our communities, it makes such a difference in this world. The world can be a better place, as cliche as that sounds, but it's actually attainable within business too, if we all listen.
So, okay, so obviously with your advanced skill sets and trials and tribulations and everything that you guys have been through in life, and I mean, each of you can share stories that would probably blow people's minds if they haven't heard them yet. And I know that they've blown mine. Right, my abilities are what my abilities are. They're just my abilities. I am still me at my core, right? So, and I had the same problem, right? Because I always knew what the outcome was going to be, or I assumed what the outcome was going to be based on my crazy analytical mind. So then I would always cut people off, or I'd cut it short, or I would try to answer a question for them, right? Because I knew what the answer that they were going to say was. And then I always relied on my memory because I have this crazy, ridiculous memory that I memorize everything, especially if it's audiological. So like I wouldn't even listen to the question and I would automatically have the answer. And it was very unfair because I was taking away from my experience of learning patience, which I am still trying to learn and I am getting better with each day. something about having 3 kids in the middle of nowhere that does that to you. It's good practice, but it's there's so much to this, right? And this is really deep, but it's really simple as well. And I agree with both of you on that. It's I think nobody wants to. Okay, so when I look at this, I'm trying not to go negative with my comment, but when I look at this, it's all about doing the work inside, right? And it's all about finding your own human self, finding your own self, finding security within yourself, finding love within yourself, finding respect within yourself, finding lack of judgment against yourself, and all those different things. And I don't think that you can truly, honestly embrace another for who they are until you embrace yourself for who you are, right? And these are the conversations that I've had with you guys individually, together, or separately. It always seems like you're both there anyway every time I talk. So it's like you guys are two of the people that I go to when I need these conversations, because I respect you guys and just adore you guys that much, right? You guys are family to me. And there's something magical about allowing those people in our lives when we don't really, it's not what society allows us to believe, right? Society has told us that, you get married, you have one person in your life, and that's who it is. But it doesn't allow you to have those outside bonds and relationships, right? They don't have to be in a romantic way. They don't have to be in any of these specific ways, And I'm finally learning the difference, because really I never did. I never understood the difference, And I look at this and I look at what's going on around the world, and I look at the chaos, and I ignore the news as much as humanly possible. Because it's so divisive, no matter which side you listen to. How do we put our head down and really just dig deep and focus in ourselves, right? Like, what was your individual journeys? Because I know that we've had conversations about this, but now I'm going to put both of you on the spot a little bit, because this is my show and I'm going to do it anyway. So what was a little bit of your personal journeys that got you to where you are today, right? Because I think taking those steps, or sharing where we are today without sharing the steps of how we got here, it is a disservice to anybody watching. Do you want me to pick one of you? Because I can do that. It's okay. You guys are too nice. You guys won't even fight for who goes first or last, actually. It's more, Andrea, you go first. There you go. We'll simplify.
Okay. And I want to make sure that we come back to Darren's question. Like, we'll answer this, but then, we'll bring that back after. My journey. I said this to Charisse last week. The person I was 10 years ago, she and I would not have gotten along in business. I was a very different person. I change every day now. It's just that I went through my journey. So I have to say, my human journey started with a spiritual journey. I had an understanding of all my gifts, which were deemed weird or scary to family and friends. Most of my family members and friends don't know the breadth of what I'm able to do. Like, you guys have experienced more of me than a lot of people from my early life, because I learned to hide it. Seeing things, talking to things that aren't there, like, it's terrifying to people. And I was just told that there's nothing there. It's not real. You're crazy. So I learned to just put that all away, right? Shut it up in a box, closed it up. It was in the attic for many years. In my 20s, I had a 3-year battle with depression. It was very severe. I had no idea that that's what I was battling, because my idea of depression was that somebody would be crying every day. I never cried. But I had no joy for life. And if I died that day, I honestly didn't care. And I had 2 beautiful young children. I got to the point in 2008 where something kicked in, and it was like it's now or never. And it was this internal feeling. I now know it was my guides who were talking through me, but they basically said, or this feeling that came in was like, you have to change right now. And if you don't change right this minute, you're at a crossroads in your life, or a fork in the road. You're going to go down the path to death. It's the end. The other path is coming back to life, and you're actually going to be present for your children, be present for people who actually need you. that weekend, I ended up writing the first 70 pages of what ended up becoming my first 2 novels. And through it, I knew after I wrote it, I started rereading some of the chapters, and I had channeled most of it. I didn't remember actually writing any of it. Like, there were key points that I started with, and then it just took over. But at the end of those 70 pages, I was like, something feels like I'm coming back to life. I want to see where the rest of this journey goes. I wrote 880 pages in 3 months, and it just poured and flowed out of me. Now, at that time in my life, I didn't have anyone that I could speak to about any of this stuff. My ex-husband understood to the best of his abilities, but he didn't have the same experience as I did. He didn't have the spiritual kind of guidance or background or experiences that I did to be able to guide me. So it wasn't until another 3 years went by where I read whatever I could. I continued writing, and I started to learn to meditate along the way too. But 3 years later, I met 2 of my soulmates, and they're still present in my life today, but they're the ones who forced me to stop. They were the first people in my life that got me to like just stop talking and stop being, because me in being form was aggressive A personality. Like, my dad came from absolutely nothing in poverty-stricken Europe. He built himself up in the US. He lived the American dream and worked 3 jobs. He did everything to give me and my siblings a life that he didn't have, and he wanted us to have. And I learned from him that I had to work my butt off until the day I died. And I was going to do. I was going to accumulate, like, grow on the career path, get that house that I wanted, drive that nice car, get married, have 2 kids. Like, that was the life that I was taught I needed to have. And it was through his experience, because he wanted what was best for me. And so did my mom. I felt empty. And I was on that path. I was like, no, it's not really me. And what about all this other stuff that I locked away in the attic so many years ago? There's more to me. And I always knew that I was different. So around 2011, I went into the attic and I pulled out the box. And I started to go through it. And with the guidance of my soulmates, who, by the way, not romantic. Very important to point that out. Not all soulmates are romantic. And when you have agape in your life, it's not about romance. It's just about wholehearted valuing of another and caring for that person and challenging each other along the way. Everyone, we teach each other. So anyway, fast forward a few years, it was a lot of growth and a lot of pain. Spiritual transformation and evolution hurts like hell, because you are faced with your human self and needs and letting go of ego. And ego is what we're raised in. It's self-preservation. And then, thank you, Charisse. Once you get to the point where you can finally let it go, all of a sudden, it's not a day. There's a journey of pain. It's like riding a roller coaster for years. And then all of a sudden, the pain that's been on your shoulders and the weight you've been carrying, the day you realize that you don't need that stuff, and you can still be yourself and be even more true to yourself than you've ever been, is the greatest freedom that you will ever experience in your entire life. And when that happens, you are finally able to live in agape for others as well, because you've reached the point of self-love. So for me, it's been a journey of, goodness, where are we? 11, I don't do math. 13 years?
10 years. 10. Oh, no, 13 if you go back to 08. Yeah. So 13. Yeah.
So yeah, it's been a long, long process to get to this point. So I tried to encapsulate that as quickly as I possibly could. But it's where I am today. And doing that hard work and self-reflection and letting go of ego was painful. And many people who worked with me experienced that old me. It's not who I am today. And who I am tomorrow is going to be different than who I am today.
100%. 100%. And before you leave the screen and it moves to Charisse, I want you to answer this question wherever it went. I don't know where it is. Oh, Rhonda's. Here you go. Rhonda's. Me and Kelly hit the button at the same time. This is what happens.
Hi, Rhonda. The difference between spirit guides and Holy Spirit. Awesome. Okay. There's a difference here between religion and spirituality as well. So Holy Spirit, I would classify as the general overarching entity of the universe. If we're speaking in Christian terms, it's God's essence. Spirit guides are more like guardian angels, but they're not necessarily angels. Angels are different entities. That's a long conversation for another day. But spirit guides could have been incarnated humans in another lifetime. They walk the earth at some point. They understand what our trials and tribulations are. They can relate to us and yet push us past our human feelings. Mine, I do share this story. There was one point where my guides had been saying something to me for 4 years. They showed it to me in visions. They spoke it to me. They wrote through my fingertips into my novels. And then one day, as I was finishing up my 4th novel, I was like, oh my God, that's what it is. I literally felt them smack me upside the head. Most guides don't do that, but mine were like, we were so freaking frustrated with you. Finally, you get it. So anyway, that's the difference. The Holy Spirit won't do that.
So I'll defend your guides because mine do it every day, all day. although I'm a little bit more stubborn than you probably. Maybe depends on the day. All right, Charisse, I want to hear your background because I've now seen your mother, and I can't imagine that you have the same type of stifling background that me and Andrea came from.
Oh, don't judge a book by its cover. Okay, so Andrea, I love hearing your story. I just have to shout that out. You're just an amazing person. So yes, thank you for sharing that. So I'll have to start way back for my story.
How many lives ago are we going?
No, this lifetime.
Oh, this
but then
one.
I
Okay.
think, I have been told I've been here before. There's this thing that old folks say, oh, she's been here before. And I got a lot of that growing up. The highlight of my most memorable life was my grandma. So I don't talk about her often, but she was a gospel singer back in the 50s-ish time when gospel was starting to formulate. So when you think about pioneers in the gospel world, my grandma comes up. And so I remember witnessing her travel all across the world. She sang in front of kings and people, like president, like everywhere. She was just everywhere, light to everyone, talking about how Jesus loved them. And she was just very amazing. And so I looked up to her in every part of the way. And so she was my best friend. I would prefer her over my mom. Everyone knew this. Her and I were thicker than thieves. It was me and her until the wheels fell off. And what ended up happening was I went through a very interesting teenage phase. And during that teenage phase, my grandma passed away. And I hit what I would call, I've never hit this before, but it was my rock bottom. I remember being in a group home because I was not manageable and getting the news that my grandma had passed away. And I think for me, that was the end of life. She was the only thing that mattered. And so I went through this very interesting series of events. And it was completely different to pre-teen Charisse, who was very light, and I could walk up to anybody. I used to pray for people. I just walk up to them and be like, I'm going to pray for you. I'm Charisse. And I'm like, my mom's like, where'd you go? And I'm like over praying with people. So I was very much involved with humans. And I got a lot of that from just my natural self. And then also seeing my grandma, she went in fearless and she did a lot of great things. And so when she had passed away, I hit my rock bottom, and it took years for me to come out of it. I mean, there's probably nothing you can name that I didn't go through in that time frame. And then I came into motherhood very early, and I still didn't know anything. I say my son raised me because I didn't know anything. Patience, all of that stuff. And then I got into a series of bad relationships, which was I wasn't surprised. I I didn't love myself. I didn't know myself. I was lost. I was very hurt. I was still healing or didn't know about healing, but I was also still very intuitive. I've always been very intuitive. I've been able to see the language of the world or into somebody's soul or just like see them. Like I see you, not just physically I see you, but like I see the human, everything that you want to become. Like I'm able to see that with people. And so I've had a few wins in that time frame. But then I remember a couple of pivoting moments for me. Was when I became homeless, when I had my 2 boys and I was pregnant with Marley, my third. And I remember being in the homeless shelter and observing some of the people that were there. It's a very interesting environment. I shared a bathroom with a family of 5. There was a lady who would always come back to the shelter. So you had a 3-month stay. She would go back into the whole system, her and her son, and she'd come back. And she's like, I want this. She had a room. Like they knew what room she was going to be in. It was very, like, she was very comfortable. And for me, I was on a different journey in that homeless shelter. I was like, I need to get out of here because I cannot bring my baby back here. And so I got very serious. And through a series of different things, I was no longer homeless. And then I remember getting into marrying my husband and going through another shift in journey where and I think this was, I'm looking at my calendar. I don't know how long this goes back, but every 90 days, I would have a mental breakdown. It's call my mom. I would just lose it. The world is ending. And sometimes nothing was wrong, but it hit like clockwork. And I remember calling a lady who did meditation. And she's like, I do a meditation, come for a free class. And I came to that class. She does energetic meditation, and I never had a breakdown like that ever again. And then that's when I started to really take in my understanding of God and really make my spiritual journey more of a relationship. And I think for me, I can't tell the story as I did all of this. This is 100% Ubuntu. Someone saw me and said, oh no, you're not going to fail. What can I do to help? And throughout that, and then it was also having enough humility to tell ego quiet and pride, which is attached to ego quiet. I do need help. And how can I get out of this situation? And I want better and I feel better. And for me, it was really about being surrounded by my tribe and community. And then the work came. And that was a challenge. But because I had my spirituality, my grounding, my go-to, and just knowing, okay, Charisse, I'm very good at I forgot how my mom puts it. She's like, you're really good at self-analyzing yourself. So I know what's going on with me at any point in time. Like, why did I respond that way? Oh, I responded because of this. And then I can decide. So I do a lot of backtracking with my behaviors if they're low vibe. If they're high vibe, I'm like, let's just keep it rolling. But I would say, reaching out. My grandma, I got pride, I believe, from my grandma. My grandma was a prideful woman. It's something that she had. She was so prideful that she had a Cadillac, didn't have air conditioning. She wouldn't roll the windows down to let you know that she didn't have air conditioning. And so I know I get it through that 7 generations that flow through us. And so just like educating myself on myself, accepting my tribe, also realizing when there's negative energy. So if I leave a conversation and don't feel good, we're going to have to delay the next conversation for a while because it's so important. You absorb other people's energy. And before you know it, like, you're like, why am I eating a whole bag of potato chips? You're just like, because you just got doused with someone's negative vibes, So I would say, to sum this all up, is, there are lessons in the trials that you've gone through. And it's all about getting to a spiritual maturity to be able to see what those are, pull those back in, and surround yourself with people and humans that are one better than you in certain aspects of their life, like they've graduated that lesson. And then I would also say just rewrite the story of what society tells you. The American dream is debt. The American dream is not what it's not. I'm not buying it. I'm happy getting into an RV and traveling the world. That's my dream. I don't have to adapt someone else. So don't conform, or do your best to not conform to what's going on around you. And then the third thing is just learn to let things go. I don't need to get angry because someone else is angry. I don't have to match someone else's energy. I can let go and just sit in where I'm supposed to be, and the answers will come to me. So that is a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Thank you. I don't think I've ever heard that detail of your story. I really don't. And I appreciate you. And I thank you so much for sharing it, because it's easy for people to look at somebody, right, on social media and see where we are today, where we are tomorrow, and not understand what we went through to get where we are, right? It's easy to say, well, Mike, you're live every day, right? And how do you're doing great. Well, the reality is I'm not, but I'm just fighting my battle, right? Like I'm not giving up, right? Like I'm on my path and I'm taking the journey, and I have my days riddled with self-doubt. I have my days riddled with fear. I have my days riddled with every negative thing that I could think about myself, right? And I self-analyze like both of you do, to no end. And to perpetuate positive self-talk for me, it takes a lot some days. Some days are easier than others, right? Like, I mean, I start up my day and I meditate, I pray, I do my gratitudes, I do reverse gratitudes, which is something I started doing, which helps a lot. For me to perpetuate positive self-talk, it's, I guess at some point it flipped a switch in my head where I just believe, where I just know, right? I hit some type of knowing. It went from I'm questioning myself to, oh, you know what? That's just a question. It's okay to question, but that's not my answer. My answer is I know. Andrea, do you want to take that answer on as well?
Yeah, definitely. Positive self-talk. I think the switch is going from everybody, like having everybody on your shoulder talking in your ear figuratively, like your boss said this, your friends said this, your parents were saying this, and you're hearing all this negativity, and then it's in your head. As a dear friend of mine told me many years ago, no one's paying rent to take up space in your head. That was the first thing. I've carried that quote with me since then, because what do I do for positive self-talk? It comes down to two words. I am. That's it. I am. I exist. I'm here for a reason. It doesn't have to match what my family, my boss, coworkers, everyone else wants me to be. I am. And as soon as you're okay with who you are, I mean, that comes from a place of self-love. But I am here today because of XYZ, or I want to do XYZ. It's about you. What do you love about yourself? We are all unique in our own ways. It is not defined by anybody else other than us, for ourselves. So when we're in this space of, I appreciate myself for X, like the gratitudes that you were saying, Mike, that you do every morning, but what do you appreciate about yourself? What do you want to do in the future? Anything is possible. Another friend of mine says it's never impossible, it's I'm possible. So what's possible for you? The second you start to let go of the baggage that you've picked up along the way for all the decades of your life, and you just leave it behind, leave it on the side of the road on your journey, and you come into this space of just, I am without all that baggage. You're in a place of self-love.
I feel like we could do another episode about carrying past lives baggage too.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that could be a whole nother episode. And there's Johnny. That's perfect. That
Hey,
is
Ron.
Thank
absolutely
you.
perfect.
Love that.
To answer Dorothy's question real quick, reverse gratitude. For me, like doing gratitudes every day was great, and I could only be thankful for my kids being alive, everybody being healthy, me finding myself, me loving myself, me having my relationship with the universe, whatever capacity or whatever that belief structure is. For all those little things, so many days in a row before it's like, okay, I'm bored. So what I started doing was in the last few weeks, which I say the last few weeks, I think I've been saying that the last few weeks, so it's probably now over a month. Um, but what I've been doing is I've been writing down the lessons that I learned from the day before, my pain points, my struggles that day, and then what I've been doing is flipping it into being grateful for what I've learned or evolved from the experience. And now what I'm finding is as these days have been going forward, before the events unravel or before they even happen, I'm already starting to flip and say, okay, I know what I'm learning from this now. And it's okay because I don't carry that baggage, pain, guilt, shame, blame, all that junk. I don't carry it anymore. It doesn't affect me the same way.
I'd love to jump in there real fast just to say it's about regrets, right? And when people ask me, well, what do you regret in your life? My answer is nothing. It took a long time to get to the point where it's nothing because I suffer from anxiety. I'm one of those people where like things just, they're on the spin cycle in my brain. They used to be anyway. And I would overanalyze everything. Like, what could I have done differently? What if this person acted in A, B, C, all the way through Z? And I would analyze every single option of what could have been because it helped me feel like I was in control then of my actions, my words, my thoughts. I didn't like feeling anxious, so I wanted to be overly prepared. When I stopped that spin cycle from running and I just sat there, it came down to there are no regrets in life because every time I made a decision, it was coming from whatever place I was in that moment. I had to learn to forgive myself. And within that, it's you also achieve self-love because then there are no regrets. There are lessons. Someday I'm a better human than on other days. That still applies. I still have my moments, but the point is that I learned what I don't want to do tomorrow. And I'm going to try my best not to go down that path. So I love what you said. Yes, every day is a lesson. Reflect, keep moving forward.
I think Andrea already answered this question, because she saw it coming. Just say it.
I'm trying to read it fast. While I'm reading this, Charisse, do you want to respond?
Yes, I will respond. In terms of positive talk or using words to yourself, one of the things that I love to simplify things is, would you say this to your 5-year-old self? Would you say this to your 3-year-old self? And it's a really good mental check to think about when you are saying things to yourself that might not be the kindest. I could never look at baby Mikey and say like some of the things I said in my head. So I shouldn't say them. It's as simple as that. So that's what I would say about, and also going back to, I made a note here. I'm very mindful of the words that come after the words I am, because I am is are very powerful words. And anytime you like, I am busy, I am tired, it's like, that's not going to help. Or and so I try and reframe, I'm trying to reframe the words and say, the feeling I have is sleepiness. Or instead, I don't like to use the word busy. I say I'm very active, or I'm very fruitful. Busy usually indicates I don't have time for you right now. And I have all the time in the world. I have time for time. Like, it's all about how you prioritize. So the words that you use really do fall into this concept of agape and Ubuntu, because I'm kind of looking at the question, isn't self-love contradictory, kindness and listening contradictory, contradictory to kindness and listening? I think that's what the question is. And I think that there's levels to that in regards to, you must, Andrea, you said this earlier, and I'll say it in this way: you cannot give what you don't have. It's just not possible. So you must have a love for yourself, which usually ties into the environment that you're in. So that concept of Ubuntu. One of the weird, I'm just going to get a little weird, Mike, if you don't mind. One of the questions that I've been like pondering is, I was walking one day and I saw these like little baby squirrels, and I saw one baby squirrel jump to a tree, and then I saw another baby squirrel gear up and then jump to a tree. And I was like, how do squirrels learn how to be squirrels? Like, I'm pretty sure some of it is instinct, which we have. We have our natural instincts as humans. And the other part is being taught by another squirrel. And so I do believe, again, that's why Agape. And so somebody has to start. Somebody has to start. Someone has to start to show this is the right way. And then I went a step further and I was like, well, where as humans did we first learn about X, and fill in X with any of the isms, any of the identifying factors. And so I think that really does play into our perception of the world and the perception of ourselves, and that reflection that keeps happening, and that projection that we do. And so, our words are so powerful. Our vibration creates that manifestation. So make sure that the high vibe words at least come out. And if you're in a low vibe place, own that. I'm in a low vibe place today. I'm going to do my best, but this is what I got. And then the next day, try and do better, and then again, having that tribe. So the words are so important, but also the ecosystem in which the words are produced are so important too. So it's like, how do you become, how do squirrels learn how to become squirrels? I don't know. That's just my weird thought of today.
Don't judge.
No, I think it's awesome. I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way.
I was going to add into there too, a few definitions, just for clarification, with everyone who's listening. Self-love is not being selfish. Self-love is or you don't have self-love when you're saying, I'm not good enough. I'm never going to be good enough. I can never be XYZ. I have to give, and everybody wants a piece of me, and I don't have time to take care of myself. I don't have time to sleep. It's making sure that you're caring for your well-being, mind, body, soul. If you're acting out of selfishness, yes, there is a lack of love and kindness for the world around that, because then it's all about you climbing the ladder or whatever it is that you want to achieve without care for the world around you and your community. Low vibe, high vibe. I know the three of us use these words all the time. And recently somebody was like, what on earth are you talking about? Low vibe. Low vibe are the feelings or emotions, just very simply putting this, are the things that keep us from achieving our best self. It's fear, anger, frustration, ignorance, arrogance. Pick any of those. And the isms that Charisse was talking about are a product of low vibe. They are all part of self-preservation. High vibe comes from the space of love and kindness and caring for not just yourself, but for the community around you, where you can live holistically. You don't have to agree ideologically with every single person's belief systems. There's how many billions of people on this planet? We all come from very different backgrounds. We all believe different things. However, we all have hearts. And when you are operating out of a place of love and kindness that is heart-centered, you can create a very different place. In your immediate community, you begin to listen to others and realize that there usually is some kind of common ground that brings you together. So anyway, high vibe, those positive feelings that we all strive for and want in our lives. Low vibe are the things that pull us down and make us feel really bad about ourselves and others. Thank you.
And that is the end of my class. Look, there's so much to go on about these topics, and we can sit here and do Q&A probably all day for this, because this is really that important, and it is, and in a lot of ways, it is that simple. It's this ego thing as humans that we hold on to, and this humanness has tormented me, destroyed me, and I've allowed it to consume me my whole life. Right? Um, it's I'm done fighting it. Right? And you're both gonna love this one. So a shaman that I speak to regularly uh, told me to be lazy because it's the solution to me being who I am, which is hustling, go, 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 run, 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 get stuff done, get stuff done. And I never had time to slow down and allow. And for the first time in my life, it's a combination of every human being I'm speaking to, which there's a long list on a regular basis. And whatever he says right now just clicks that be lazy and just slow yourself down and allow it to come to you. We are so fast to be in a rush to get nothing done because we want to appear busy that we don't give ourselves time for anything. Time is a man-made construct to control and manipulate us in many different ways, and we need to let go of this pressure that we put upon ourselves and hold ourselves to. For me, it's always crushed me, right? I'm 41 years old. If I live another 43 years, which is just a guess, then I still have more than half my life left to get everything done. And I have 41 years of a lot of life experiences to base that upon and use the knowledge that I started out with through experiences now as wisdom that I try to share with people. The reality is we all have a voice. We all need to share. We all need to speak. We all need to be respected. You know, there's one race on this planet, and that's the human race. The rest of it doesn't matter. This is something where enormous likeness needs to come into play, and people need to embrace our uniqueness. We need to thrive on it. We need to raise others up on a daily basis, and we really need to learn how to love. And I promise one day, sometime soon, I will exactly know how to pronounce Ubuntu. But I just don't think I'm there yet. Agape I got down because it reminds me of a liquor, I think, when I was drinking. That was a while ago. I think thanks, Andrea. I'm gonna put that on the screen. That's my quote of the day. Awesome. That's what I'll be known for. That went in her book. I promise you that's in her book somewhere. And I love you for it, Andrea. She's gonna be on Friday. That's gonna be fun. You guys are both on mute, by the way, if you're talking. No, you're both just keep going. You're fine. We'll just sit here and laugh at you. We're good. Where are my sunglasses? Nobody can see them if I put them on. Look, this has been so much fun, and I love you both so much, and I'm so excited that we did this, and I really can't wait to do it again, and we've got to just keep going with this. Charisse, I know you have your podcast, which unfortunately does overlap at times with mine, and I'm sorry. But I'm working on changing that time.
Ubuntu.
Ubuntu. Yeah, no, I'll never get it. I might have said it right that time, but that's just because I heard you so much. Oh, wait. Andrea gave me a better quote this time. That will end up in her book, too. It's awesome. I say something wise every once in a while, so I gotta honor that at the moment. This is, yes, I've gone through that book many times, and okay, we're getting lots of comments, and it's making my head hurt. It's too many things to focus on. I got to be lazy, damn it, and just not pay attention. It will all just magically show up anyway. You're welcome, Michelle. There is somebody here, Minshu. I'm so bad. Again, bad with names. Manisha, I was so close. Manisha, I think you should reach out to Andrea directly. My personal opinion. This Manisha, whatever it is. I'm not even going to pretend I could say it because it's just wrong. Were you writing that down that I need to bring that back up? Is that what you were doing?
Me? No, but yeah, I would say I was just going to say, like, anyone who wants to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn. So is Charisse. So we are here for you guys and gals.
Bring your sunglasses to the conversation. Never forget them. I'm telling you, you're going to burn your eyes out. It's going to be like Supernatural.
You know. They want to with me. Go ahead, Charisse.
No, worry. I was just laughing. I was going to say I love that show, but go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah.
I know what you were talking about, Cassiel and all that. Yes. Anyway.
Yeah.
Andrea, go ahead, please.
That's the one, Andrea, that needs to reach out to you. She had a question that she wanted to ask that I didn't want to put on the screen.
Okay.
And Kelly,
reach out to me.
And Kelly keeps hitting different buttons, so we're just overstepping each other because I'm not used to having somebody actually do it.
Shout out to Kelly. Thank you.
Yes, Kelly,
for making all of this happen.
Sickly one, you are amazing today. We appreciate you and hope you get well after you get the test results. Everybody, have an amazing day. Thank you for joining us. And I love you. I love you all. Thank you. Ubuntu. Ubuntu? No?
Ubuntu and Agape.
I was so close. I really was. Have a great day, everybody.